Dear students, I welcome you back to the class of English Optional BA third year. We have been dealing with the paper Literary Theory and Criticism for last several periods. In the previous classes, we dealt with the first Greek master Plato, Plato's observation on poetry, Plato's observation on drama, Plato's observation on style, Plato's theory of ideas. Then we started with the second Greek philosopher or Greek master prescribed for our study, that is Aristotle. In the previous classes, we dealt with Aristotle's perspective. Then we came across Aristotle's observation on poetry. Then we dealt with Aristotle's observation on epic poetry. And in the last class, we started with Aristotle's observation on tragedy. According to Aristotle, tragedy is the highest form of poetry. It is based on imitation. His master Plato did not give importance to imitation, but Aristotle looked at this act of imitation from different angle. Aristotle defined tragedy in his world-famous treatise, Poetics. It is believed that Aristotle wrote his book, Poetics, in order to defend poetry against the attacks of Plato on poetry. He defined poetry as tragedy. He defined tragedy as tragedy is an imitation of action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude, in language embellished with each kind of artistic ornament, the several kinds being found in separate parts of the play, in the form of action, not of narrative, through pity and fear effecting the proper purgation of these emotions. So he speaks about imitation, he speaks about catharsis, purgation of emotions through pity and fear, in his definition of tragedy. Then he speaks about two parts of tragedy. The first part, which is concerned with tragedy as an imitative art medium, object and manner. The second thing, function and emotional effect of tragedy. Then he speaks about action. It is serious action, tale of suffering, exciting pity and fear among the audience or the readers. All human activities, deeds, thoughts and feelings are seriously done in tragedy. With a beginning, tragedy has a complete plot. With a beginning, a middle and end. Beginning, audience does not need to tell anything to understand story. And middle, beginning follow events that constitute middle, and end they lead to other. Organic unity is there. There is a proper beginning, there is a middle, and there is an end of the event. Certain magnitudes, reasonable length in size is required for beauty, neither too long nor too short, just a proportion. Then artistic ornament, rhythm, harmony and song. These things are found in tragedy. He speaks about form of action. A tale is told by living and moving characters. Speech and action make the tale complete. So, after revising all these things, let us discuss constituent parts of tragedy. According to Aristotle, there are 6 constituent parts of tragedy. Constituent parts means important parts or important elements which help creative artists to compose an ideal tragedy. The first one is plot. second characters, third thought, fourth diction, diction means language, fourth song means lyrical quality, and spectacle, sixth one is spectacle. Aristotle feels that plot is an important element among all these six constitutional parts. Among these, plot is the major part of tragedy. Aristotle gives more importance to action than to characters. He says that without action there may not be a tragedy. The second constitutional part is character. So tragedy is written to imitate men in action, not merely men. So tragedy focuses on the action of men. So characters is the second constitutional part which we find in the observation of Aristotle's observation on tragedy. The third thing is thought. Thought is an intellectual element in a tragedy. It is expressed through the speech of the characters. The characters who express their dialogues on the stage, through their dialogues, audience are able to understand the thoughts in the play. The fourth one is diction. The next element in the tragedy is diction. Diction means language. It gives us thoughts and feelings about the characters in the tragedy. The fifth constitutional element in the tragedy is song. Song is found in the choric parts of tragedy. It is one of the sources of pleasure in the tragedy. As we see that William Shakespeare made use of comic scenes in his tragedies. So comic scenes in the tragedies of William Shakespeare give pleasure to the audience. Similarly, Aristotle opined that song gives pleasure to the audience in a tragedy. And the sixth important element in tragedy is the spectacle or the scenic effect. It is associated with the stagecraft. Aristotle is of the opinion that a dramatist should not rely on the spectacle but on his own powers to feel the effect. Let us come down to the structure of the plot in the tragedy. Aristotle has elaborately discussed about the structure of plot in his observation on tragedy. He says that plot is an artistic arrangement in a tragedy. According to Aristotle, plot is the soul of tragedy. Without plot, there may not be a tragedy. So Aristotle gives stress on the unity of action, which is depicted in the plot. He is against the plurality of action because it weakens the tragic effect. There might be a number of incidents but need interconnected with each another. Aristotle says tragedy tries as far as possible to live within a single revolution of the sun or only slightly to exceed it. A good tragic plot arouses the emotions of pity and fear in spectators or the readers. So Aristotle here emphasizes on a dramatic device, that is catharsis, which means the purgation of emotions, purification of emotions through pity and fear. So Aristotle feels that it is an ideal plot which arouses emotions of pity and fear among the audience while witnessing a tragedy, or purgation of pity and fear through the emotions among the readers while reading a tragedy. Then he comes down to the simple and complex plot of tragedy. According to Aristotle, plot is of three kinds. There are three kinds of plots: simple plot, complex plot, and plots based on sufferings and defending for their effect. Aristotle prefers complex plot. According to Aristotle, complex plot is an ideal plot for the tragedy. Simple plot, there is a change in fortune without reversal of situation and without recognition in simple plot. But in complex plot, change occurs in fortune accompanied with reversal or recognition or both. Reversal or recognition, these aspects are found in complex plot. So, Aristotle prefers complex plot to tragedy. Finally, Aristotle speaks about certain qualities or characteristics of a tragic hero. According to him, a tragic hero must be a person of great reputation. Aristotle says that the protagonist of tragedy should be a person of great reputation. He should be above a common level. He should not be common person. He should be above common people or above common level. He should be a man of high reputation and dignity in the society, so that people will feel pity for him when he is placed in predicament. But he is not a paragon of virtue. He should not be model of virtue. He should not be too good or too villainous person. Tragic characters must be good but must not be too good. Aristotle says that tragic hero must be good, must not be too good. He should have tragic flaw. Tragic flaw means own fault. In all Shakespearean tragic heroes, we find tragic flaw. Because of their tragic flaw, they are placed in predicament, they are placed in problems, and they try to come out those predicaments, and while in the process of coming out of those predicaments, they lose their life. Similarly, here Aristotle says that each tragic hero should have a tragic flaw. His tragic end should not take place by vice, depravity, or unseen power, or dignity, or destiny. His own fault should bring his end quickly. So, these are some of the characteristics which we find in the observation of Aristotle on tragic hero. And finally, thus Aristotle gives in his Poetics a canon of tragedy. Thus, Aristotle has elaborately discussed a plot of tragedy or tragic characteristics of tragic hero, varieties of plots such as complex plot, simple plot. Then he has elaborately focused on the constitutional parts of tragedy, and finally his observation of on tragedy is regarded as fundamental in the history of literary criticism. So friends, with this I would like to conclude. In the following class we shall elaborately deal with Aristotle's observation on comedy. With this I would like to remain here. Thank you very much.